Hi everybody! So today I'm going to show you in this video real quick how to create the legacy square that you're going to use in the Lucky Legacy blanket. What's great about this pattern is that you only need to know how to make one square, and then the way you lay out your squares is going to create the pattern for the blanket. So that makes it really easy, let's go ahead and get started. So for this pattern, you will use a size 4 medium weight yarn, and you'll need a white and a green. Now for the pattern that you see listed, I used the Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek and the white and the green multi. For this video, I'm actually going to show you how to create the squares using the Caron Simply Soft in white and pistachio. So what's great about this is you can use any white and any green size 4 medium weight yarn that you have already in your stash. You can use a solid green, a multi-green, whatever type that you want, but this is a great stash buster for those of you who may have some white and green stashed that you're trying to use up, because the green, the great thing about the green is you only use a small amount of the green, and the white is the main portion of the blanket. So that's something I think that is funny. We can make it our own by choosing whatever green, shade of green, or if you're a type of person who just likes to use a certain brand of yarn, this is a great way for you to use the yarn that you like or you prefer. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and show you how to create this square that we're going to use for this blanket. So when you start your squares, you're going to start with the green. So if you're not familiar with how to make a corner to corner square, I'm going to show you real quick. So you're going to create your slip knot. You're going to put that on your hook. And then in order to begin the square, you're going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is actually going to be how each of your rows are going to start. You're going to start with a chain 6 at the beginning of each row. And so to create the first box or block of your square, you're going to put a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So you'll see this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to put a double crochet into that 4th chain from the hook. And then you're going to put a double crochet into each of the 2 remaining chains. So you're going to double crochet in that stitch, and you're going to double crochet in that last stitch. So this is going to create the first block of your corner to corner square. So to create and to start the next, row, you're going to do the same thing as you did to start this block. So you're going to chain 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me get some more yarn real quick. Here we go. 6. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to double crochet into that 4th chain. And then we're going to double crochet into the next 2 chains. So this is starting your second row. So you'll see it's kind of like a wobbly, it just wants to go whatever way it feels like going. To start your next row, you're going to take this square and you're going to sit it on top of this first one. Do you see how I've done that? So this is where it ended. This is kind of how it wants to lay. You're going to flip it so it sits on top of that first block. This is the first block you created. This is the second one, and you're going to sit it on top of it. And then you're going to take your yarn and you're going to go into this first area where you had this chain, this open space. You're going to put your hook into that open space and you're going to create a slip stitch. And that's going to sit that box sideways on top of your first box that you created. In order to continue on this row, you're going to create a box that's going to sit on top of this one. So we're going to chain 2, and we're going to do 3 double crochets into the same space. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and this is considered row 1. this is considered row 2. And so we're going to move on and we're going to do 2 more rows of green before we start our white. So to start a new row, remember we chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to put a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook like we've started our other rows. Oop. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to flip it like we did that other one so it sits on top of this block, and we're going to slip stitch it on there so it's sitting on top just like we did the other one. We're going to chain 2 to create our first double crochet. I always like to push this down so it doesn't get in my way because I feel like it can catch my hook, so kind of just move it out of the way if you need to. You're going to put 3 double crochets in the same space as you did your chain 2. And then in order to connect it, just like you connected this one, you're going to do a slip stitch into this top open space on that square from your row 2. So you're going to slip stitch there to adhere that. And then you're going to chain 2 and you're going to do 3 double crochets in that same space. And this is really how you repeat the pattern until you get to the point where you need to start decreasing, because this is going to create your square this way, and then when you start decreasing, you're going to create the point or the top of your square. So we're going to do one last row with the green, and we're going to chain 6. And we're going to do a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. And then 2 double crochets into the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to slip stitch to connect it to the top of our row. And just the same as we had done, chain 2, 3 double crochets. We're going to slip stitch into the top of this so that we can connect it. We're going to chain 2. You want to move that, kind of move that out of the way. 3 double crochets. Okay, we're going to create a slip stitch here to connect it, and then we're going to do one more time, chain 2, 3 double crochets. So here is where we are. You'll notice these are going to count as rows. So this is your V. This is starting your V. So this is row 1, this is row 2, this is row 3, and this is row 4. So this is where we're going to stop with our green yarn, and we're going to add in the white. So I just like to get rid of my green for now, and I am going to add my white in. Create a slip stitch, put this on my hook, and slip stitch. Just slip that white onto there. So now we can start with our white. So we're gonna just keep going until this one, this all depends on how tight or how loose you crochet. You may need to play with it a little bit, but you should get 8 rows for a 6-inch square on these. So we're going to do, for this we already have 4 rows, so we need 4 more. So we're going to do 4 white rows, just like we did the green, increasing. So we'll just keep going. So we're going to chain 6. We're going to do the 4th chain from the hook. We're going to do a double crochet. And we're going to do a double crochet into the next 2 spaces. We're going to put our box on top of this box here, and we're going to do a slip stitch to connect it. And we're just going to keep going like we did the other 2. And so this is going to be the first white row that you're creating on your square. So So here we go, we just keep going, we're slipping, let's slip stitch, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and you'll just keep that until you get to the top of your row. And what is neat also about this is that, oops, I did an extra one. You'll know what row you're on by the number of blocks you've done. So if you're on row 4, you have 4 blocks. If you're on row 5, you have 5 blocks until you start to decrease. So that can kind of help you to, as you're going along, to know where you are. So here we go. So we finished our first row of white, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the 5th row. So we're going to create 3 more white rows just like this before we begin to decrease for our square. So I'm just going to go ahead and continue on, and you can work along with me, and then we'll decrease as soon as we get to that 8th row.